So we are live now on the Shiva. Good afternoon, gentlemen and viewers. I am once again with you with another episode of Win Life Like a Warrior. As I have always been telling you that warrior doesn't mean that every time you have to go to battlefield and fight with the weapons and bullet. Warrior, what I imply is that you should fight the demons within you. And those demons are your limiting beliefs, your fear of failures, regressive attitude, negative thoughts, and fear of failures and whatnot. So in that series, today with me is another warrior. In the true sense, she is a warrior. She has been in the Navy. She is a former naval officer. She has done such a commendable jobs in the Navy that one can only think of or dream of and imagine that how that is possible. So this warrior is Lieutenant Commander Aishwarya Boddapati. She is a Nao Sena Medal, gallantry. She is the first military crew to circumnavigate the globe. First Indian all-women crew, member of the all-women crew to navigate the globe. And also there are first set of officers, women officer in Indian Navy to be awarded the Gallantry Award. So with this very brief introduction, though it's a very important introduction, let me go back to her only and have the conversation to find out more about her. So welcome Aishwarya to the show, which I call it a Win Life Like a Warrior. And you have won the Life Like a Warrior and you have been winning the Life Like a Warrior. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me on the show. And I think it's a great opportunity for me again, where I get to share an exemplary story, which I had the good fortune to be a part of.
So very nice, Aishwarya. And to start with, let me just ask you a very one fundamental question first, that you have been part of a very humble background. And I believe in your childhood, you were very scared of darkness, water, all these things. But despite this thing that you grown, you studied well, but finally you overcome everything. And that is what is the important in life, that overcoming the fears of life. Because you know that fear kills more dreams than the failures. Because failures at least teaches you something, you learn something from that. But the fears is the one which doesn't allow you to take action itself. So how was your childhood? How was your early education and all? You can tell something about our viewers.
So, like rightly said by you, I had a very normal childhood. I was born in a middle-class family, and my father was working for CISF, which is one of the paramilitary. And he was at that time, when I was born, he was posted at Visakhapatnam. So that was, I think, when I was a 2-year-old or 3-year-old, that was the first time I had a chance to, see the ocean and go near it. And I was so, I have no memory of it, but I was so terrified as a kid that even now when I recollect, I think there is this sounds coming, huge sounds coming from the ocean. And I did not want to go anywhere near the water. And in all the pictures that we have at beach while I was a kid, it's just like I have this terror on my face and I am not anywhere near water. I'm just holding on to my father. So I was also scared of sleeping alone in darkness when I was a kid. So as a child, I think there are some fears that we get very, I think they're very naturally coming. I don't know, because of the sounds or because you see lightness always around and suddenly at night there is darkness. So these are some things. So I was very terrified, but I think I had wonderful schooling as well as parenting. Like my parents would always expose me to things that are just not related to academics. Like I would say, my parents highly encouraged me to participate in all the activities that are happening in the school, be it co-curricular activity, extracurricular activity, sports. So like, whenever I would go back to school, I would look at, what are the new opportunities that we have. So I was a part of debate competitions, dance competitions, and you name it, singing. So I was very versatile as a student itself. Um, and also, one thing that my father made sure that there is this concession called the leave travel concession, where we get to travel to different parts of the country like once in a year. So he made sure that we went all around the country as kids, and experience new places and new people. So we had great exposure as children. And another thing that I would say was my school. My school was situated inside the Air Force Academy. So that sort of, I think, at the back of my mind, as a kid, I had a natural inclination towards the armed forces. But it was only very later I finished my graduation, and came across Indian Navy. Or otherwise, this was not something that I thought that I would. This was not my dream to start with. That I would be joining Indian Navy.
You are right. You are right. In fact, Aishwarya, the few things which you mentioned is, firstly, that fear is a very natural phenomenon, because you can't eliminate this. Everyone goes through the fear, some or other kind of fear. Somebody may have a fear of height, or maybe of water, or maybe of darkness. So it's a very natural phenomenon. It's only the winner is the one who faces that and overcome that. So there is nothing very unusual if somebody is fearful of something. That is one thing you mentioned. And second thing which I could make out with this, that you were right from the beginning very outgoing, outward, moving around and liking that and participating in all extracurricular activities. And that makes a difference. That makes it. Yes, you may not be thinking or dreaming or imagining right in the beginning to be part of the defense forces, but subconsciously it has inspired you being a part of that environment. So that's good. That's good. And that is what my viewers must understand, that that environment does affect, and somewhere subconsciously you develop that liking for that. After that, I think, Aishwarya, you gone for the graduation in engineering, and there also you didn't go for a run of the mill like mujhe computer science mein karna hai ya electronics mein karna hai. You went for something different, which is metallurgy or the material science, which is very less sought after by the people. Nowadays also, even in our time also, people used to go for something which is very classical, mechanical, civil, or something like that. What was that thought, being something different?
So yes, I think it was always inside me. I would always think that I want to do something different, and I never wanted to do anything that was run of the mill. I would never go in the same direction. So once I finished my 10+2, first thing was chemistry was one of my favorite subjects. So in chemistry, we learned a lot about materials that we were working on. So that sort of was the first, I think that was the foundation where I started from. So, and when I decided to do an engineering course, I was looking for either chemical engineering or biochemical engineering, biotechnology, or metallurgy was something I thought, so metals and all also originate, actually the ground is from chemistry. So I chose metallurgy. And wonderful subject. So these subjects like metallurgy, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, aerospace, they are called the core groups. So the foundation, the basics of the subject remains the same. And I had great 4 years of college while studying metallurgy. And my basic idea, my actual inclination was to get into hardcore manufacturing units like the steel industries, the research organizations that work only on materials. And so that's when I started applying for, I started looking out after finishing college. I was looking for new job opportunities and I kept applying, but um I passed my graduation with honors, and one of the people who was top of the class, but somewhere I think there was a bias on the fact that I was a female, and so all these hardcore uh, uh, industries did not even look at my application when I applied. So it was straight away rejected. So I think that was I felt, so it was at a very early stage. I was just in my early 20s when this happened. So I thought, this is very unfair. So that's when I came across an advertisement in the newspaper which said Indian Navy is looking for engineers who are either metallurgical, civil, aerospace, to apply for a branch, or I would say a division in Navy called the Naval Architecture.
But Ashra, here I sorry to interrupt you. Here I would like to remind you that you joined for some time for ARIC also, ARCI, the Department of Science and Technology.
So I did, as a part of there is a final year project that we do as a part of our curriculum. So I was carrying out my project in one of the DRDOs, the Defense Research Development Organizations, and so my the background, I was working on a certain missile component that goes into Indian Army. So it was just part of the missile that I was working on, which was very fascinating. And right after college, since I did not land up into a job opportunity, I continued to carry on my internship. And my idea was to do a PhD, join back as a scientist at DRDO organization. But unfortunately, the year that I finished my college, there is an entrance exam called the scientist entrance test for DRDO. So for that particular year, the entrance test was not there. They stopped it. So they paused it for that 1 year, and it started for a year or two later. So although I was just continuing an internship at a very basic pay of 8,000 rupees a month, but I really liked what I was doing. But I thought, this is not enough. And then, although, in a way, that internship also helped me a lot, because since I was working on this missile components, I was very fascinated, where it is being used. And, it's in the army that this missile goes into a tanker. And, it was very fascinating to me to discover the other side of where the missile is coming from. So I think that also, like, very naturally pushed me towards the armed forces.
See, there is another aspect to look at this, Aishwarya. See, somebody might have even thought, lab ka job hai, bada kushi job hai, comfort zone hai, let me continue. Means everyone doesn't get excited to join the defense forces. But means sooner or later you could have become a scientist there. Starting from the graduate entry, you could have finally joined in. But then you decided, eventually you decided to join one of the armed forces, and that happened to be Navy. Let's hear from you how it happened.
So Navy, so that's when I was looking. So let me be honest, Navy was not my first opportunity that I applied. I applied to 40 different places. I clearly remember sending out 40 different applications before I came across this advertisement in the newspaper saying that Indian Navy is looking for core engineers. And I was very surprised by the fact that they were looking for someone who is BTech in metallurgy. And it did not really mention, that, most of the applications by then I came across were female candidates need not apply or something like that. But this particular advertisement, it says both the eligible male and female candidates can apply. So that really, I think it was a very positive note to start from, where I think there is no gender bias in the armed forces to start with. So that was the reason I applied. And the interview process, since I am a hardcore engineer, I thought it will be only technical. The questions will be only technical. But when I went for the SSB, I think it took all a duration of 10 days, where we were tested psychologically, physically, mentally, our ability to, get along with a group. How do you function when you're with the group? How do you function when you're a leader? All these were tested in a span.
Decision making.
Decision making, absolutely. Decision making in times of, like, when you're under pressure, when there is a conflict. So all these aspects were tested in a duration of 10 days. And the interview was only the last part of it.
Yeah.
And in the interview, nothing was technical. It was mostly to see if you are capable, or you are aligned in an armed force environment. So that was, I had a very enriching experience throughout the interview. I really liked the way people were treating me. And, it was nothing like my voice was heard. It's not like my opinion was not cared. So I really liked it. And by the end of 10 days, I realized that, I'm shortlisted. And so it was very surprising, because I saw there were other girls in my own branch who were very well prepared. They knew what's coming their way. They knew what activities they are getting into. And I was the one who was totally unaware. And out of 120 girls, I think 6 of us were shortlisted after the final day. And I was the only technical officer in 6 girls who were shortlisted.
You're right, Ashra. I can understand your dilemma, because I am also technical, and when technical guy goes for the SSB, he thinks that they will ask something of technical, but nothing technical happens, and then you realize. And similarly, same way that no background of any, neither in the family or relatives, nobody in the force, so you don't have anything. But the best part of the SSB is that as much as you are natural, and you depict your leadership quality, you are through. You don't need anybody's any recommendation or anything. So
I think
that's what I
say when people come to me for guidance in attending SSB. I say just be true to yourself, and I think your best self will come out only when you're honest. So that's the suggestion that I give.
So, Ashra, after joining Navy, also that your adventure, taking the new tasks, that never stopped. You always wanted to do something different. You started differentiating yourself. There is one proverb: it's better to be different rather than being better.
Yes.
Better to be different rather than being better in the same thing. So you have been doing that thing, and you are following that right from your education. So let's know that how you differentiated yourself being in the Navy.
So soon after I joined Indian Navy, and we were into a technical training. So just for the people who are unaware, the Naval Architecture Corps of Indian Navy, most of the officers who joined go for a 1.5 year diploma course at IIT Delhi, where we are taught all the aspects, because our background, like I am from metallurgy, my batchmates were civil engineers and mechanical engineers. So all of us were oriented to how to design and construct warship. So while we were doing this course in Delhi, we also realized, like I discovered that apart from doing technical training, we could also take part in any adventure activity or sport activity that we wanted. So it really got me fascinated, and so I started volunteering for mostly water sports, because I had this inherent fear of water. So I just wanted to, I think the best way of overcoming your fear is to face it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I would go ahead and volunteer for only water sport specific activities like river rafting, scuba diving, and uh, uh, I don't know, jet ski. I am I am trained and certified in all the water sports that you can think of, and the last, I think, most unexplored water sport and most dominant in Navy is sailing. So
Yeah.
that was something that, being in Delhi and being near like rivers, is something we cannot experience. So my first posting was in Andamans, Port Blair. Soon after I finished my initial training, I was posted to a ship repair yard, which is based out of Port Blair. And that's where I realized I got into sailing. Although sailing is not, I think sailing is not lots of the waters are infested by alligators, so in case you capsize, it's a dangerous position that we are getting into. But I started it there, and it was more like an unfinished job for me, and this is something that I always wanted to do. So while doing my appointment, I came across a notification, like there is something called IG that comes out in a signal that comes out, which was looking for women officers to go around all around the world expedition on a sailboat.
Oh.
So I got really excited, and without thinking twice, I just requested my boss to send me for this expedition. And the thing is, there were only 2 lady officers in our entire unit of 40 officers. And so they said, and both of us volunteered.
Okay.
So the boss was like, at least one of you needs to stay. But then we convinced him that, we just want to experience it, and it's not something that we are really looking into. But then once we went, so the selection process happened in Goa. And once we went there, it was just something out of ordinary, and something that we have never done before. So first aspect was, as while I was in Navy from 2011 to 21, that was the time when women officers could not be posted on board, since going on a warship is considered a combatant role, and that was the time when women were not looked into being on board warship. So this was the first time when we are getting to go out to sea officially, and experience what is out there. So I think it was wonderful. And then by end of it, the selecting, our trainer who selected us was, I think he noticed the enthusiasm I had towards sailing, and so that's how I got shortlisted. Amongst 40 women officers who volunteered, 6 of us got shortlisted to become a part of this expedition.
True. Here, in fact, the one point which I would bring out for the benefit of my viewers is that, you see, Ashra was right from the childhood scared of the water. Okay, she was apprehensive of the water as such. Despite that, she joined Navy. In Navy also, again, she was not very comfortable with the water. She was supposed to be part of manufacturing or repairing of the warships. There was no need for her to again opt for the water. Again, she opted for those water sports, whether scuba diving, where the water is involved. So what she said, and what is so true, if you want to overcome any kind of fear in your life, then face it. Do those things where the fear is. Then only you can overcome, and then only you can become extraordinary from the ordinary. And that is what she has done. So we listened to her entire story, that finally, how did then happen this project Navika Sagar Parikrama Aishwarya. We would like to know the entire story of this. Now we have been finally selected out of 40, the 6 got selected. And I think your colleague of those 2, probably you are the one out of those 2.
Sorry. Yeah, I was the one out of 2 of us who came from Port Blair.
Yeah. So how about this now, the preparation for the Navika Sagar Parikrama and all this? You can start your sharing your
story of Navika Sagar Parikrama was parallelly happening while, even before, I think it happened even before we joined Indian Navy, where there's a great visionary, Admiral Manohar Avati. He's no more, but he was the one who thought, Indians are the oldest voyagers. Like, we were the ones who manufactured, we have, like, I think there are incidents from Harappan civilization where there is a significance, presence of manufacturing ships in India back in 12th century, 13th century. So we were the oldest ship makers, and we were the ones who went. In fact, it is said Columbus went around the world in a ship that was made in India. So, they say we are the oldest manufacturers, and somehow because of the colonization, this tradition of manufacturing ships and going in the ships made in our country, it slowly died. So to bring back, I think one of the idea was Indians should be, in fact, the first circumnavigator who successfully completed a all around the world voyage went in a boat that was made in India. The name of the boat is Suhaili, and the person's name is Robin Knox Johnston. So because we have such history, I think we should be the ones who should be sailing around the world. So it started in 2009. Our mentor, the person who trained us, Captain Dilip Donde, was the first Indian to circumnavigate the globe. He took finished the journey, taking a duration of 10 months. So,
and he did solo, I believe.
Yes, he did it solo. And to take this expedition one notch high, Commander Abhilash Tommy became the first Indian who he did this journey on from 2013 to 14, where he took a duration of 151 days to go around the world non-stop and unassisted. So non-stop and a solo voyage comes with the challenges of its own.
In fact, I am in touch with him also.
So it was a wonderful, I think it was, so those are the 2 people who put India's face on the world of circumnavigation. So that's when I think the thought came, why not women go on an all-around world expedition? So the number of 6 was also decided basis on the fact that, how many people can the boat accommodate? Actually, the boat is built for only 1 person, right? So then initially they were thinking 4 people, and then they were like, okay, 4 people will go and 2 will be standby. But then those 2 people are also like, going through the entire process. So, why not they be part of it? And finally, it was decided that 6 women officers will be going across the globe. The selection process was also such that they wanted to see people who were really, really wanted to do this. Not for the fact that it is something different, but then, it's a very serious thing that we were doing, because this expedition was more like putting our lives at risk, because we are venturing into the greater oceans where everything is unknown. The weather, the wind, everything is unpredictable. It changes every year. So we had to be well prepared. So we started training for this voyage in 2014. And so we were trained in all aspects. Traditionally, the men in Navy are trained to learn about navigating a ship, learning about the weather conditions, doing signal and communication while they are at board. And all these are different branches of Navy where everyone is vertically specialized. But then we had to undergo training because it was only us. We were the crew and on board our ship. So we had to train in each and every aspect, be it as small as, now none of us were great cooks, or we had to learn cooking to nourish ourselves. Then we also had to learn how to repair an engine when you are out at sea, and if some electrical equipment goes bad, or how to run a boat based on wind. That was something very new to us, and all these aspects, predicting the weather 48 hours in advance and changing the direction of the boat accordingly. So all these were unknown territories, and we had to be trained in all of them, and so well trained that we could go around the world in a small boat without taking any external help. So
absolutely. It's a really a challenging task. So when you started this Aishwarya, this journey of Navika Sagar Parikrama, let's our viewer know that what exactly Navika Sagar Parikrama is all about. What are those parameters which defines that? Then let us know that when you started the your legs, first leg, second leg, what all challenges you gone through and what beautiful scenes you came across. So a whole lot of experiences. So starting with your what is the definition of that, so that viewers must get excited that it is not just simply parikrama, it is something more to it.
So Navika Sagar Parikrama, actually if you translate, it is circumnavigation of the globe by women voyagers. So Navika is women voyagers. So circumnavigation comes with its own rules. The first rule is that we should start and finish the voyage at the same port. So since our boat was manufactured in Goa, and we were also based out of Goa, we started the expedition from Goa, went around the world and completed it at Goa. The second rule is we should cross the equator twice. Equator is the central line that divides the earth into two equal halves. So since we are in the upper tropical region, so that was something we had to do. So that while going, we cross the equator, and while coming back from Africa, we cross the equator for the second time. The next rule is that we should not pass through any canals, straits, or channels. So this is basic. They are the small pathways that we have between two continents or two land masses. So this is more like a shortcut, and that is, I would say, it is more easier path. And the canals and the straits are the most chosen paths by the merchant ships, or they have smoother weather conditions. So that was rule number 3. And the fourth rule was we should go below all the 3 Great Capes. So the 3 Great Capes are Cape Leeuwen, which is the westernmost tip of Australia, Cape Horn, which is the southernmost tip of South America, and Cape of Good Hope, which is the southernmost tip of South Africa. So these are the 3. Basically, we have to go below all continents except for Antarctica. And the final rule is the total distance we cover should be more than 21,600 nautical miles, which is approximately 44,500 kilometers. This distance, this number is actually equal to the circumference of the Earth. So
and that is why it is called circumnavigating the Earth.
Correct. So I cannot just, ideal condition would be I start from Australia, just go around Antarctica, come back, and say I have done a circumnavigation. So that will not make it challenging, right? So these were the rules set up so that a circumnavigation happens. And this is a circumnavigation by a sailboat. Now, I just wanted the viewers to be aware that the boat is completely run with the help of wind. We have a very small engine. It is not even as big as a car engine that we have, and this engine is used only while we are entering and leaving harbor, because inside a very closed space like a harbor, it is very difficult to control the boat with the help of wind. So the engine was used only to enter, or otherwise at such a long distance voyage, the in boat running on the engine completely, it will not sustain.
Yeah.
So these were the rules, and we started this journey after training for 2.5 years in on 10th of September 2017. It's exactly been 5 years that we have started the journey. So,
Aishwarya, one question here, just my curiosity and maybe the viewers also. So when you only use the wind to navigate the boat, what is normally the speed you attain, maximum speed you may attain with that, or minimum?
So when when the sails are completely up, basically we are using the entire surface area to fill in the wind and go at the fastest. The fastest speed that we could go was 6 knots per hour, which is close to 12 kilometers per hour. So the speed was not much, but it was enough for is not a racing boat; it's a cruising boat. So it was and also, since we had to carry a lot of food supplies, water, drinking water, cleaning water, so that also makes the boat heavy. Although in terms of tonnage, it's only a 23-ton boat, but since the boat is heavy, the speed is also accordingly
reduced
according to the weight that we have. It's the general rule of, I think, any vehicle.
I know.
If lighter, it's faster, but it's a heavier boat, and we have a keel. We have a keel on a boat, so it's basically something that is used for stability. Since if you see the smaller boats that we use in waters, they will also have a keel, but since we are a long distance going boat, so we had a heavier keel so that the boat is stable without rolling and pitching much, and someone who is in the boat is not getting very seasick that they are not able to operate the boat.
So let's have your experience. You started, I think, 21st May to that is 10 September 2017. So let's have your journey experiences. Yeah.
So we decided to do the journey in legs. We broke it into legs because, first of all, the food and water supplies that we have could not last a duration. For a 6-member crew, it would not last more than 45-50 days. So we took breaks in Australia, New Zealand, Falkland Islands, and Cape Town, so that we could sustain, we could survive with the food and water we have for at least a duration of 40-45 days. So we looked at this port in such a way that with the speed that we are going, we reach these destinations taking a duration of 45 days. Okay. So the journey was broken into legs, and we started on 10 September 17. But we were trained only in tropical regions, right? Across India, like we went from Goa to Chennai, Goa to Mauritius. This was all, happening in the northern hemisphere of the earth. But then once we come south, the weather is very different. So it came with its own challenges. And our boat also had certain difficulties. Tarini is the name of the boat, and it was made exclusively for the voyage Navika Sagar Parikrama. So right after, I think we were only 10-15 days into our first leg when we have a reverse osmosis plant on board, which converts seawater into fresh water. Fresh water is used for cooking, cleaning, and drinking. So somehow this water plant went faulty, and we could not get what was what happened wrong, and we were not left with any water, and we had a good 25 days journey left.
Oh my
So
God.
it was like water everywhere, not a drop of water. So it was very fortunate that the weathers changed. Otherwise, post monsoons, September is post monsoons for us,
I
right?
know.
And with the weather change, and suddenly clouds came by and it started raining. So we did some rainwater harvesting on our boat, and the water that we collected from the rain, it's the purest form. So the same water was used for cooking, cleaning, drinking, and
Okay.
and till we reached Australia. So the first rains that came were much slower intensity, but since we were entering the southern hemisphere, we crossed the equator, the weather became very challenging, and that's when we know that from now the journey is not going to be same. And but the first leg of journey, we also celebrated Dashera, Diwali on board. We did not have anything, we did not carry anything to celebrate Diwali. So we just made diya out of atta and cotton and used
Okay.
oil and celebrated a eco-friendly Diwali on board our boat while we were at sea. So,
So very nice.
so with all these challenges, we reached Australia, and we could repair the reverse osmosis plant. Basically, the filter was choked and it had to be replaced, and we could only get a new filter while we were at land. So these halts at ports not only helped us recuperate from a long journey that we have taken, but also any repairs, external or required spare parts from outside, we could attend to them while we are on this. We would generally take a break of 10 to 12 days. So from in Australia, we also had the opportunity to go to a lot of schools and universities to share our experiences. It was very new to us. Now I'm able to very clearly share my story. Otherwise, that time, since we are from the armed forces, we are generally limited to few sentences when trying to have a conversation. So
I
that's how.
know. So this first
So
leg
it for
was
the
one.
reporters.
First leg was a one challenge which you have come across. Thereafter, I believe when you proceeded further, you came across a few more challenges, also some beautiful experiences of the nature.
Absolutely.
Let's share
Then
something.
our second leg was from Australia to New Zealand. This part of area is the start of Southern Ocean or South Pacific as we call. So, but then it actually the Tasman Sea, the area below Australia, it is considered very rough, and the weather is very bad, and it's going to be very challenging. But we were very lucky. There is something, a phenomenon called a high, where the winds are very calm, and the sea is very smooth. So this leg from Australia to New Zealand, which originally was supposed to be very harsh, went out very smooth for us. So because of that, we could witness a lot of natural phenomena in the ocean. We saw a lot of sea animals like the whales. We saw a variety of whales like the killer whale, pilot whales. The biggest whales are, I think they're called the sperm whales, whale shark. So these were different whales that we saw. They were porpoise. Dolphins and porpoises are like a everyday phenomenon. There are hundreds and thousands of dolphins coming. And when you're seeing sunsets and sunrises in the ocean, it's quite different from what we witness here in the land. It's basically unbroken side that we have out in the ocean. The rainbows, sometimes we see triple rainbows, double rainbows out in the ocean. And there is a very peculiar phenomena which is specific to the Southern Ocean called the Aurora Australis. Now, this is the phenomena where when you're closer to the southern pole or northern pole, the entire sky turns green. Now, this is very easy to witness from the northern pole because it's mostly surrounded by land. So you go to Greenland, you go to Russia, you go to Ireland, you're able to see it in the sky. But for the southern pole, it is mostly surrounded by sea. So it was very beautiful, and we were very, very lucky because in history of circumnavigation, very few people have witnessed southern lights, and we were one of those lucky people where the entire sky turned out emerald green, and it was just beautiful to see. And there is also something called bioluminescence. There are certain chemical particles, like I would say they are more like algae, that is present on the sea surface when close to the land. And when the boat moves through it, so it's like you have leaving a trail behind of light when you're going. So it was, all these were the beautiful phenomena that we got to witness in the Pacific Ocean when we were in the second leg of the voyage. It took us about, it was a very quick pass because the weather was very good. We reached in about 25 days from Australia to New Zealand. And this was the second leg. And the third and the most dangerous leg was leg 3, which was from New Zealand to
yeah. So Aishwarya, this leg where you saw this natural phenomena and all, could you capture them in your cameras or something?
Absolutely. So we captured, I think, all the fishes that we saw, we were able to capture. I think the only phenomena that we could not capture was the bioluminescence and the southern lights, mostly because we did not have a very high quality camera that are waterproof. We could carry only waterproof cameras because suddenly there is a splash and the regular cameras can damage. So yeah, the cameras were not of such great quality, but then all the fishes and the whales, the sharks that we saw, they were all captured. Now, another thing is, people might think that, sharks and all can be dangerous when they come really close by. But I would say, since our boat runs on wind, it doesn't make any noise. So for some sea animal that is passing by, it thinks probably this is another fish, because the propellers are not running. It's not very damaging to them, so they don't try to attack. They are very friendly. So that's why these dolphins, fishes, they come very close to the boat, and we were able to capture very good pictures of them.
Okay, so let's see this next experience of the next leg.
So the next leg, the weather got really cold, first of all, because we are from tropical regions. We are not used to such cold weather of minus 7.
This leg was from New Zealand to?
This was from New Zealand, Falkland Islands. So Falkland was only the closest piece of land we could get to the southern, after crossing the Pacific Ocean. So the weather got really cold. We started putting on layers and layers of clothes, 10 layers, because we have to wear our wet weather, like the raincoats. Then we have to wear our winter wear, which is the jackets. We have to wear the gloves. We have to wear the shoes. And with all this, we also should be able to mobile and, take quick reactions in case the weather changes and suddenly we have to change the direction of the boat. And we got into a storm. Now this storm was of an intensity of a hurricane, like where the wind was blowing at 150 kilometers per hour, which was 75 knots, which is very high. This high speed wind. When such wind blows, you cannot hear what the person standing right next to you is trying to tell you. And on the top of it, it was raining, it was cold, our hands were frozen, but still we had to hold the boat, and it required a lot of physical strength to bring the boat keep the boat stable in this weather, where we had huge waves coming and crashing on the boat. The waves, which were 9-story, as high as a 9-story building, and it's very important to keep the boat stabilized and to keep the boat going. And if such waves are coming, we are riding the waves instead of taking that wave crashing on us. So it was very important. And the storm came middle of the night. So the visibility is zero because it's night, it's complete dark because there is also rain, and there was not even moonlight, so that we could, so the only way we could predict where the wave was coming from was by hearing and sound. So it was a very, very challenging experience because the storm lasted for about 18 hours, which was most of it, the 12 hours were in the night, and it was only in the morning, and that too, we did not get into the eye of the storm. Otherwise, I think, one mistake and the boat will snap and we would have been gone forever, and nobody would have found us. So we were at an area where the closest help from land was 48 hours out.
My God.
So the only way to survive was by we driving the boat, and we did not sleep, we did not eat, we kept holding on to the boat for the entire night. And I think I still get shivers when I remember that one dreadful night we had out in the ocean, where we could not communicate, and the only strength we had was from each other. So after about 18 to 20 hours, the weather cleared up. Basically the clouds went away.
Aishwarya, one clarification here. You said that when the waves were there of 9-story height, 9-story height, and you said that you can't do anything except ride the wave. You have to ride the wave. So that means your boat sometimes must be getting totally vertical.
Yes, absolutely. Sometimes because we have to ride the waves, we have to turn the back of the boat towards where the direction from where the wave is coming. So sometimes we are like going into the ocean, right?
Sometimes you must be going up also vertically.
Absolutely terrifying, and we don't know one wave we are riding, we don't know whether we are going to come out of it alive. So there were several such waves coming all throughout the night, and we really had to be vigilant, careful. All the training that we had done for 2.5 years before going on that expedition came to use on that one night, because I think the most important thing that night was none of us gave up. It was very easy to give up.
Fantastic. That is what the courage is. That is what the courage is. Yeah.
So all of us just kept going, just kept encouraging each other that, this, after this wave, it's going to be smooth. After this wave, it's going to be smooth. And we went on for entire night. And it was only in the morning that, we saw sunlight. And once the sunlight came, we saw the weather clearing up, and we saw fishes jumping and coming around, and we saw birds flying, and that's when we knew that this is over. But then we had a lot of damages because of that storm. Our engine is also used to charge the batteries, which gives electricity to the entire boat. So the engine was completely damaged, and we could not basically we did not have a engine to enter Falkland Islands, and we had to use only wind and limited sail, and that was, I think, the first time we attempted entering harbor without the help of engine, which was also, I think, a fantastic feat, because that was not done by somebody before. So we halted at Falkland Islands, repaired the boat for a good time, and gave it some love and care, so that, because we had half of the journey left to go back, to come back. So that was the third and the most, I think, challenging leg of the voyage, where I think we were tested in all ways possible, like physical, mental, psychological.
Mental toughness. Yeah. This is what mental toughness is all about. So thereafter, I think the ride must have been smooth.
So the next leg of the voyage was Atlantic Ocean, crossing the Atlantic Ocean from Falkland Islands to Cape Town. Now, Atlantic Ocean is also very dynamic. the weather changes, it's very rough and everything. But since we had a very challenging Pacific Ocean, extremely challenging with a storm, Atlantic was like, it was very smooth compared to what we saw. Although it was equally challenging, but since the worst was behind us, we could, it was actually the longest leg coming from Falkland Islands to Cape Town. It took us 40, 46, 47 days to reach from New Zealand to Falkland Islands. And from Falkland Islands to Cape Town, it took us 55, 56 days. But the thing was, we ran out of food, we ran out of water, but we knew that the worst was behind us. So we still could clear it. So this Atlantic to Cape Town was also the place where we crossed the prime meridian. Now, prime meridian is where the clock is always 000, right?
Yeah.
So that was one experience that we had in the Atlantic Ocean. And we reached Cape Town on the day, I think in India it was Holi. So none of us thought that, people in Cape Town would remember, and we saw people reaching the harbor while we were entering Cape Town, they were there with colors, dhol.
Good.
We got a great welcome and we celebrated the festival with the localites over there in South Africa.
Was there Indian community also part of that?
I think all the ports that we went, whether it was Australia, New Zealand, Falkland Islands is the only place where I think we did not encounter an Indian community. But apart from that, including Cape Town and Mauritius, where we did an emergency halt later, there was always Indian community. And, wherever there is Indian community, they shower a lot of love. So for Indians, showering love is food. So
Yes.
One day where we had dinner at the hotel or the apartment that we were staying, it was always at somebody's home. We were invited. They treated us to Indian food. So we never felt like we stepped away from it.
But I believe after this Falkland also, you had one experience, a different experience, which you never expected when you were returning back to home.
Yeah. So from Cape Town to India was our next leg, and it was the last leg of the voyage. But what happened, like I said, Atlantic Ocean is very dynamic. So the wave pattern doesn't remain the same. Usually the wave pattern, how we follow is, if the wave is going right, then we turn the boat towards right, because we don't want any zigzag happening and, damages happening to the boat. But in Atlantic, crossing the Atlantic, we faced some challenges, because of which by the time we were about 20-25 days off Cape Town and towards India, the rudder, the main steering mechanism of the boat, it slipped from its original position, and we could no longer use it to change
steer it.
It's like you're driving a bicycle or your car at a very high speed, and suddenly you don't have a steering. So it was extremly challenging, because this was also something that never happened before. So it was not like, usually how do engineers function? If we face some technical challenges, we look at something similar that has happened in past, take it as a case study and try to do the same in this situation. But this was also something that had not happened in past. So we just trusted our technical knowledge that we had. So we had something, basically the steering wheel and the steering mechanism are connected by certain rods, certain levers. So all those levers were broken. And so we had no means to change that steering. Basically, we had no direction. We were just going somewhere directionless. And this was the time when we were very close to Mauritius. So we decided that, first of all, we did I think it's called the Desi Indian Jugaad, where with whatever mechanical tools that were available, like spanners, rivets, everything. We created one lever from the steering wheel to the steering mechanism, and we just changed the direction towards Mauritius, which was the closest land we had. We were about 180 nautical miles, which was like 2 days journey to cover.
Yeah.
But we could only use limited speed, or that lever would also go, and then we would again go directionless. So we very slowly, we took 4 days to reach Mauritius. And by the time we reached, we had already communicated this to the land, and we had spare parts coming in from India to Mauritius. And the replacement, although the replacement took about a week's time, but I think it was a great support. We had a great, although we were the face of the voyage, we were going through the voyage, we had a great back-end support also, that people were quickly reacting. The defense minister and the prime minister were actually asking for our coordinates, where are they, where are they? And so whatever support we asked for, I think it was given to us. So very quickly, I think 6 days receiving the spares, replacing them, it is not something that's known of. It would have easily taken a few months' time for us to undertake these repairs had it been normal circumstances. And by the time, the entire voyage would have lost its essence. But we overcame all the challenges. We kept communicating. We made sure that we undertook the repairs, and we made sure that the steering is completely functioning properly before we got into the ocean. And from Mauritius to India, again, since it was summers, it was the month of May, we were transiting. There was absolutely no wind. Now, for someone who has been through 75 knots, which is 150 km per hour, no wind is also a very dangerous situation.
I know.
Of 6 women, the dynamics within the group can also change, and it can get very frustrating. So, overcoming all the challenges that we faced, on 21st of May 2018, we successfully completed circumnavigation. The first for our country, and all-women circumnavigation of the globe, and a great, I think, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for all of us.
Definitely. There is no denying the fact. There is no denying. Means I can get a goosebump by listening to you. I can well imagine when you were on the sea, in the sea, what experiences you might have had. In fact, one thing you may like to tell, communication, for communication, what was the kind of communication, if you know? Because I am a communicator, so I'm from signals.
Yeah, so we had the satellite communication. We had a satellite on board which connected to, so the Navy has a satellite called Rukmini. So we connected, and through that, we had so basically you can use the SIM card for satellite communication, but it was very expensive. Like one SIM cost $40,000. So the communication was daily position reports, like every day, no matter which time zone we are in, we used this satellite communication to communicate where we are located. We would send our position coordinates and also how the weather is. And this would go also, this communication would also go to our families so that they know that where we are, and to see that we are safe, and it sort of, gives them a relief. So, because we could not communicate much. We were only given 100 MB of data a day, each one of us, to communicate. We can just call and say, hi, I'm okay, and I'm in the middle of the sea, and I had my food. That's all.
That's fantastic. In fact, this is good learning that how you communicated during this period. And thereafter, it must be all celebrations, all award, your Nari Shakti and other things.
Absolutely, sir. So by finishing this voyage, there are certain goals that we achieved. That Number one is, I think that was the year when we were celebrating Nari Shakti in India. And this was, I think, one great opportunity to show the entire world what Indian women are capable of. Because
Yes,
traditionally, I think, women are thought of being oppressed or, being not given equal opportunities. But this was a way that we could show that we put our country in the world map, that we are nowhere behind where everyone is. And that was wonderful.
Naturally, this is no less a feat. It's the most biggest achievement, I must say. And the one last question: are you still, you all six are still in communication with each other?
Absolutely. I think, like any team, we also had our highs and lows, where there was a time a point of time in voyage where we would not talk to each other, because we would fight over the silliest of things, like why can't you keep the utensils, or why can't, so it can be as small as why are we going in this direction, why can't we go the other direction. So we would fight, but then I think ultimately the goal that we were trying to achieve was much bigger than all fallouts that we had. So yes, all six of us are still in touch with each other. And apart from me and my captain, the skipper of the boat, Lieutenant Commander Vartika Joshi, all are four serving in the Navy.
All remaining four are in the Navy, still Navy.
Yes, absolutely.
Only Joshi is also taken retirement and premature.
Yes.
Okay. So, Aishwarya, viewers, you have listened such a courageous, such a mental toughness and fearless journey of Lieutenant Commander Aishwarya. And Aishwarya, let me tell you, I really had learned a lot from this. And so my viewer must have learned that how to overcome fear, how to sustain in the challenges of the nature, and how to finally achieve your goals, which is more important. In the end, you said the goal is more important than your small things of life. And thank you so much, Aishwarya, me and on behalf of my audience. And wonderful listening to you. And I'm sure that it has given an immense value to my viewers.
Thank you so much for having me. And I had a wonderful time sharing my story and recollecting it again. Thank you so much.
Definitely. And